Hi, I'm Senora Shorts. I've worked here for 5 years. I'm gonna miss Mr. Bell a lot. I would say the thing I'm gonna miss the most is his witty humor and some of his little comments and jokes. Those always make faculty meetings a lot better and a lot easier to get through.
Your favorite memory that you can remember about Mr. Bell?
I probably shouldn't tell you, but when Billy Peebles left Powhatan School, we had a really big party for him. And different faculty members dressed up as different people and did little skits for Billy Peebles. And you can just imagine what kind of costume Mr. Bell wore because he was Gandhi.
My name is Louise Jaffe, and I've taught at Powhatan for 11 years. And my favorite memory of Mr. Bell is the way he responds to certain questions and the expression he has that goes with his advice. So I will find myself wandering down to his room with a particular dilemma. And I'll explain my dilemma, and he always gives me a solid answer and helps me work through it. And then he'll end with a pithy, one-line response that's coupled with this expression where his eyes get really big. I think you know what I'm talking about. He'll say something and then his eyes will go. And you know right then that you've got it all figured out and it makes you laugh. And then I always leave his room feeling that the problem is solved, and we're so lucky to have Mr. Bell as our guide.
So how long have you guys worked at Powhatan?
I've worked at Powhatan for 21 years.
I've worked at Powhatan for 28 years, but I went here as a student too, so I have a long history.
Did you know Mr. Bell as a student?
I did.
What was your first impression of Mr. Bell?
I think I knew Mr. Bell a little bit outside of Powhatan from church. And one thing about Mr. Bell is Mr. Bell has never aged. He always just looks like Mr. Bell, young Mr. Bell.
He is non-aging or youthful. He was particularly youthful when he started teaching me, I think in 6th grade. That would have been like 1972 or so. And he was a little bit nerdy, not in a bad way, but
Not
he was
Mr. Bell.
He was definitely a little nerdy.
What's your favorite memory of Mr. Bell?
Why don't you do yours first?
I don't have a specific memory, but he is maybe the best storyteller I've ever heard. So he would tell stories of his youth or tell his stories of teaching kids, and I just love his stories.
Okay, mine's pretty funny. Don't know if it's real appropriate, but he was driving the bus to a girls' sports game back in one of my first years here, and Mrs. Meyer was the athletic director, and she was in the bus, and I said to Mr. Bell, I said, Mr. Bell, I said, does this bus have an airbag? He's driving along, and he says, yeah, Miss Meyer. And I thought that was like really funny.
Mrs. Meyer even thought it was funny.
Yes, Mrs. Meyer did laugh.
What do you
Okay, my name is Ryan Royston, and I'm an art teacher at Powhatan. I actually went to Powhatan almost 30 years ago, I guess. I went here from kindergarten through 8th grade. Probably one of my fondest memories, and I guess it's kind of it is just my ongoing memory of Mr. Bell, is the way that he used to tell just the coolest stories. You know, everything in history that he taught just had a unique little story that helped you remember, what he was trying to teach you. And then Mr. Bell also taught me Latin from 6th through 8th grade. And I was in homeroom. I had him for homeroom in 7th. And he also was my soccer coach in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. He might even been my soccer coach in 4th and 5th grade. And he was always a really cool coach, very understanding, and he had a way of kind of sitting back and letting problems kind of work themselves out, yet at the same time knowing when to step in and kind of point you in the right direction. So, we're all going to miss Mr. Bell. He's kind of like the wallpaper on the walls at Powhatan School. He's been here for so long that when I do think of Powhatan, I think of Dick Bell.
Hi, my name is Harry Holloway, and I've been here at Powhatan for 27 years. And all that time I've been working with Mr. Bell. Mr. Bell was here long before I was. One of the things that Mr. Bell has always been involved with is a Shakespeare play. He loves working with a Shakespeare play. He became a key part of it very early on in his career. One of the reasons he loved Shakespeare was that he and Shakespeare were good friends when they were younger. But more to what he does with the kids. It's interesting, Mr. Bell really doesn't like being on stage. He has a little bit of stage fright even. But still, he's able to convey a love of theater, a love of stage work, and a love of Shakespeare to those kids and create a shining moment of learning, growth, and enjoyment for everybody. Shakespeare is a key part of Mr. Bell's time here at Powhatan.
Hey Mr. Bell, it's Morgan. I remember in your class when you would fly your little William Shakespeare action figure around the classroom.
What I miss about Mr. Bell is working on Shakespeare with him. He really knew the material, and he made the play really fun for all of us, made us understand the story, and really put us into our own characters. He was a great history teacher and a great friend, and we're going to miss him a lot.
All right, so what do you want to say about Mr. Bell, besides he's awesome?
Well, I think one of the coolest things is that my kids got to have him as a teacher, too, and that you and I had him as a teacher.
Yes, a little legacy.
Yeah, and that he's been there that long.
Yeah.
So you remember being a substitute in the 7th grade, well, when we were in 7th grade.
Right.
For the 8th grader who was sick.
Adrian, right?
A week before the performances, and we popped in and memorized all his lines and split his role because we were twins. And
right.
It worked.
Well, and the fact that he remembers in explicit detail everything about that is amazing to me, because I mean I remember it, but not as well as he does. And he's done so many plays. I know. Yeah. He's done so many plays, and yet he still remembers each and every single one of them perfectly.
Yeah, it's great.
He's amazing, and he will be missed.
I think my favorite thing about Mr. Bell's teaching style is all of his sarcastic comments, because they are 100% the greatest part of being in his class.
My favorite thing about Mr. Bell is how open he is to other people's opinions during discussions.
My favorite thing about Mr. Bell as a teacher is he uses different ways of teaching stuff than what people normally do, making it more fun.
My favorite thing about Mr. Bell as a teacher is that he doesn't grade in red pen.
When we think of Mr. Bell, we think of Guido.
Funny. Interesting. Tap shoes. Smart. Wise. Historical.
Charismatic. Prodigious.
Knowledgeable.
Bell's my favorite name.
Generous.
Dedicated.
Cool.
Intelligent.
Bye.